Welcome to the Empowered Women Life Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Karen Bashford. This podcast is for every woman who has ever felt limited by her past, silenced by trauma, or held back by society's expectations. Each week, we will share powerful stories, expert insights, and practical tools to help you become the leader of your own life. Today's topic is about empowering women and how they can change society. That's a big statement, I must admit, but I know from working with clients just how much their lives changed, and those of society, family, communities changed as well. So it's not a title that is something I've just pulled out the bag and said, this is what it's going to be. There's a purpose behind it, and there's a purpose behind what I'm going to share today. So basically, when we look at women becoming empowered, it means that society will change. There's no two ways about it. Society at the moment is very unequal in the sense of there's no real equality for women. Men are the ones in control, and women have to follow behind. Even though we're trying our best to disrupt what's going on, we still have to follow the old patriarchal way. And until we actually have enough women who are prepared to stand up and say no, because they actually recognize their own worth, it's not going to change that much, regretfully. There's massive leadership gaps. Women are brilliant leaders. No two ways about it. If you look at how a woman runs the home and her children, she's a leader. She's great at negotiating. She's good at managing money. She's very good at the caring aspects. Everything you are able to transform into being a leader. Without those skills, she wouldn't be able to run her home and look after her children. So she's more than capable. A woman is more than capable, even if she doesn't have children. She still has those inbuilt, I was about to say inability, but I mean inbuilt skills that make for good leadership. She demonstrates rather than actually tells a lot of the time. And that's what leadership is about, is being able to demonstrate rather than tell. Regretfully, women often go through burnout because they give so much. That's what society expects. They haven't learnt to say no. It's only when a woman can say no does she really truthfully step into her power. Because otherwise she's always giving and giving and giving, not giving to herself. And you have to give to yourself to be able to give more to others. If you burn out, how can you help anyone, let alone yourself? When women are empowered, it creates a ripple effect in the sense of she teaches her children a different approach. She teaches them to respect a woman. Something that society hasn't been able to do yet is to truly show respect for a woman. You look around the world and there's so many women that are still treated as second class. Even in the Western world, women are not respected in the way that men are. They don't earn as much. They're not given corporate responsibility in the same way as a man is. They're the ones that are always seen as the ones that have to look after the children, that have to be the carers. And that's not putting down the male carers or the men that look after their children or their grandparents or parents when they're older. That's not putting them down. It's just this assumption that women will step up and do that, when in actual fact, society should be equal. And that's a big ask at the moment, for a society that's equal. And it's not about confidence or success for a woman. It's about self-trust, trusting yourself, to be able to believe in yourself, to take action, to make choices that suit you and not just everyone else, to speak up and say what really matters to you. It's about who you are as an individual. Who are you? Have you really sat down and thought about who you are? I know from clients that they often don't know who they are because they've never had a chance to really sit and review and reflect. They've just followed what's expected of them within the family. And that family doesn't necessarily mean their partner or their children. It can be the bigger family, the parents, the grandparents. It can even be the people that they've chosen to be their friends or their stand-in relatives because they can't live with their families or have no contact with their families. We try to fit in rather than be ourselves. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of having done that for way too many years, as I'm sure a lot of the women that are going to be listening to this have done so. You probably followed the pathway that was shown to you as a child. This is how a girl behaves. This is how a girl thinks. And yet, there's something within you that says that's not so. There's something within you that says, I deserve more than this. I deserve respect. I deserve to have the say in what is important to me. And actually, I deserve to have choices. And why shouldn't you? You're as much part of society as all the many men in this world. So why shouldn't you have a say? It's only because society, through the generations, from time immemorial, have been the ones that have said men are the rulers. Not anymore. Women deserve to stand up and be counted. And as a collective, women have a lot of power, if only we would claim it. But how do we claim it? It's a good question. I'm passionate about helping women discover who they truly are. And you do that by questioning yourself, questioning your life, what you do, how you think, how you react. You can ask so many questions that will give you clarity as to who you truly are, your identity as a person, as a woman. One of the main things you can ask yourself is, what do I believe is true about myself? And just write down what you believe about yourself. List all the beliefs you have. I'm fat. I don't do things in the way that people want me to, so I don't believe that I'm good enough. I don't believe that I'm capable enough. I've been told that I'm fat or I'm not able to do a particular job because I haven't got the experience. But actually, when you sit down and think about it, what experience do you have? What have you had that you've had to deal with that made you resilient? That gave you the strength to face things that perhaps a lot of other people haven't faced, like abuse and trauma. And women suffer a lot of abuse and trauma. That's given you skills, abilities to face things that perhaps other people haven't faced. Because obviously we all suffer some kind of trauma, but not necessarily abusive trauma. And even in that, it gives you something that's unique to you. Every individual is unique and they see and feel life differently. And you have something within that experience that you can bring to the table that perhaps somebody else doesn't and isn't capable of. So you have the ability to deal with situations that a lot would have probably cowered away from. I certainly know of clients who have faced abuse from family members that have left them questioning themselves, not believing in themselves. And yet the sad thing is, if you remove what they've heard from their family members and the experiences they've had that are still stored within the body and subconscious mind, they're not the same person. They become a different person because no longer are they relying on the emotional responses that they've had to protect themselves from any abuse. We all create coping mechanisms. I know that I was stubborn to ensure that I could actually survive. Because somewhere deep inside, I knew I was better than I really thought I was. There was a part of me that said, actually, Karen, you're good. You are good enough. But the way I was living with my partners being abusive and with my family members being traumatic in how they behaved towards me from a young age, that changed me. That put me in a situation where I just followed the rules. I just followed just to keep the peace more than anything. And yet I could be as stubborn as hell because that was my coping mechanism. If I felt it was truly wrong for me, I would become very stubborn. I wouldn't budge. And yet, ironically, my behaviour in following the rules, in following how they expected me to behave, I was actually being stubborn, but in the wrong way, because I wasn't being willing to change myself until I was forced to. So you can put boundaries in place. And when you actually change yourself, you put boundaries in place. You know what you're prepared to tolerate and what you're not. You know how you want people to respond to you and how you don't. You know when you can say no and mean it and not have to explain why you're saying no. It's a choice you make. So how can you change yourself to improve yourself? Well, I shared earlier on, it's very much about asking yourself questions, writing down what you believe about yourself. Is this true or is it not? Looking at how you behave in situations, becoming aware of your emotional responses. Your responses, are they based on fear? Or are they based on a feeling that says, this isn't right for me, I'm not prepared to do this? Fear is the opposite to excitement. You cannot have fear and excitement together. So if you're feeling fearful, why are you feeling fearful? What's happened previously that would have made you feel fearful? It could go back to childhood. It could go even back to the womb, or it could even go into past, into generational history, cultural history. It can go back to the wars. We've had a lot of wars. It can go back to slavery. Because whether we like to admit it or not, it happened. And energetically, it's left an imprint in all of us. You don't necessarily know what your family history is, because it's something that's not necessarily passed down or discussed. And yet, within the past, there will be slavery. There will be involvement in wars, or it could be poverty or wealth. Everything has an energetic imprint, and your relatives would have taken that and passed it on to you through genes. And then obviously it's what you experience as a child and growing up that would have had an impact on you. So all of this is very relevant if you want to empower yourself. And for women, more so than anything else that you could do to help yourself change how you perceive yourself and how society perceives yourself. So even if you don't know your family history, you can still investigate what you believe. If you meditate, set the intention that when you're meditating, you'll be shown what you need to be aware of to be able to release something that's holding you back, that's stopping you from believing yourself. You can do that as you go to bed. You can ask yourself the question, I need to understand what is stopping me. Show me. Do that just before you go to sleep. You'll be surprised at what you actually know within yourself, which doesn't require a lot of research. It doesn't require a lot of sitting quietly and just waiting. You can just ask your subconscious mind as you go to sleep, not expecting to work it out there and then, because if you do that, that's your conscious mind responding. and that won't give you the true answer you need. So it's doing the internal work. It's doing the self-awareness work. And ask yourself, what do I need to forgive myself for? Because sometimes we do things that leave us feeling guilty, as if we're to be blamed for something that's happened. That's not necessarily true. We don't need to feel guilty. We don't need to blame ourselves for things that have happened that's totally out of our control. In actual fact, needed to be managed by an adult, and yet it was the adult that caused the problem, which made you feel that you were in the wrong. In doing the inner work, in becoming aware and working through all the beliefs you have, you can actually break the family cycles. And when I say family cycles, if you look at your family, you'll probably notice there's behaviours that go through each member of the family on how you think, how you behave, what you believe. There will be patterns that follow through. Those patterns are indicators of something that connects everything together. Looking at them will make a difference. You can start to question, is this really what I want to do or want to believe, or how I want to behave? You can always try something, consider it, review it, reflect on it. And how does it make you feel when you do that? What feelings come up for you? Is there this feeling of, this doesn't sit right with me, it doesn't resonate? Or is there a feeling of fear, of uncertainty, of confusion? All those emotions are indicators from your body that something is not right, that it doesn't agree with. And you have to remember, the mind-body connection can challenge each other. It can be in conflict. So what your body responds to may not be the same as what your mind believes. So you need to check, I believe this, but my body says this isn't right. What do I do? If your body's telling you something's not right, you should listen to it, because it's our emotions that guide us far more than what our thoughts and beliefs do. So when the body is going, oh, I don't particularly like this, either through a sensation in your body, a pain even. Sometimes we get a pain when we question something that wasn't there the moment before, then suddenly it's there. That can often be an indicator that there is a conflict within the body with what you believe. When you question what you believe, the body will release the emotional attachment that is causing the pain. Yes, you might be able to just ask yourself, what does this relate to, and get an answer. But sometimes it needs to be delved deeper, which is why it's so important to be prepared to work on your traumas. Because everything that our body responds to is likely to be connected to a memory that can be traumatic. Or a program we've set in place that has protection against something traumatic. So getting to know yourself will empower you to make the changes you need to make to be able to empower your position within society. So ask yourself, of all the things I've shared with you today and told you about, what stands out the most? What makes the difference? What resonated? What made you sit up and take note? This is getting to know yourself. And in knowing yourself, you become capable of putting boundaries in place, of saying no. Or perhaps you've done that already, but you're still feeling something isn't quite right. Or your body's still suffering ill health, or has suddenly started to complain at you that it's not feeling well. They are indicators that something is out of balance within you, between your body, mind, and soul. In exploring both your body and your mind, listening to your intuition, your gut feeling, or the universal guidance, depending on how you look at it, you can find answers that perhaps you've been missing because you've not been aware of what you need to hear or feel that will guide you to find the answers you need. Reach out, ask questions, comment, whatever you need to do to help yourself become you, an empowered woman who can stand up, speak out, and disrupt what is already in place. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you again.